What's poppin'? Magic Mike in that mix. You tune into the Magic Show. Man, it is an honor to have this man on. I've had him on my shows many times. He goes by the name of the Inphamus Amadeuz. He owns
boom, 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 boom.
Right here, live and direct. If it wasn't for this man right here, a lot of the artists wouldn't be eating. A lot of his DJs wouldn't be eating. What's going on, my man? How you doing this Friday afternoon?
Doing good, man. You know, I'm just keeping my head above water, adjusting to the new ways of the world and the new way that, you know, we're doing things in life. As we spoke, I think the last time I came on your show was April. So that was kind of like when I did the COVID-19 album. And, you know, not much has changed since then. It has, but it hasn't. The world is open, but, you know, we're still social distancing. We're still fighting a virus, and we're still putting our thinking caps on and trying to be as creative as possible.
So the Inphamus Amadeuz, man, like, man, you're all over the place right now. You got a brand new album. It's called Any Day Now, the sequel. I love the first one that you did. That's what got me actually, you know, talking to you and everything else. Now, how was it working on this album? How is it differently from the COVID-19 album? Because the COVID-19 album was very dark, I find. You know, it's a very dark album.
Yeah, this is honestly my best body of work. I know a lot of artists say that, but this is the first time I was able to create an album or create a body of work where I just kind of did what I wanted to do without any specific goal or reason. So, you know, with COVID-19, I really wanted to do something with GraphWise because I've been working with him for a while, and I just wanted to do a whole project. And COVID-19 was basically to add to my catalog. And then I also wanted to prove that I could do choruses, because a lot of people who hear my records, you know, I tend to have a lot of DJ cut choruses or R&B hooks. It's, you know, I mean, it's not, I just like those type of things on my records. It adds a bit of diversity to your music and a different dynamic to the music. Think of it like colors in a spectrum, in a sense, where like you don't want to look at red all day. You know, red blends with blue, you know, yellow blends with purple, like that type of thing. So, you know, this is the first album that I kind of just did what I wanted to do. The previous Any Day Now, you know, I've said it multiple times. It was just, you know, I had to kind of prove that I could rap. You know what I mean? Because people know me as a DJ, they know me as a film guy. They didn't really know me as an MC, so that was super hard hitting. You know what I mean? The prelude. So yeah, and then also this is the first time that I give them like a bit of personality. What I mean is just, you know, into my life experiences. I cover a array of topics from systemic racism to politics to how I grew up to relationship issues, issues with parenthood, and then of course we do have our, you know, aggressive 90s music, but it sounds different. It doesn't sound like my other records. They sound like Das Effects-ish, you know what I mean, with the instrumentation and stuff like that. So I'm just happy that that people are receiving it the way I intended to give them.
Now, how's your marketing strategy changed since the last time you released COVID-19?
Well, now people are outside a little bit, right? So it's like, you know, COVID-19, I really couldn't express anything except being dark. You know what I mean? Like it was dark because we were kind of in a dark time. The COVID-19 project wasn't necessarily about COVID-19. It was just to kind of mark the time period that we were in. And then obviously there were references like Achoo, which is sneezing, you know, stimulus package, like things like that. This time, like I said, I just did a more well-rounded body of work. But one of the things that I like about this project is that I actually gave them a radio single. Right. And if you listen to me anywhere on FM, you listen to me just as a radio host. I always kind of talk about this, like how, you know, we're just not getting commercial records, right, from our lyrical artists. So it kind of felt good to be able to take my own advice in a sense and hit them with a record called 90s Vibrations, which is basically like a straight up like Slum Village type of you know, R&B type of vibe. And yeah, and marketing obviously since we're outside. Obviously, you know, shout out to Rock Nation for the Billboard, and you know, the radio platforms, and we're just kind of doing the same thing. It's just we can physically, you know, touch the people this time.
All right. So, you know, you spoke about the radio now. So you're on a few platforms. You got a radio network called Live 89 FM. That's where we're on right now. And you work at Shady 45 XFM. Let's talk a little bit about that. How did you get into radio, and what inspired you to open you know, a new gateway and a new doorway with Live 89 FM, because I think Live 89 FM is like the model of the new way of doing radio, literally.
It is. It is. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think people at this point kind of know that I got to Sirius XM because I was on National Geographic. And, you know, Lord Sears saw me on National Geographic and he brought me up as a guest. And then I worked my way in with film, and then I ended up on air. And then I ended up learning the corporate structure of just how radio works, kind of being behind the scenes, right? Because I do a lot of stuff behind the scenes, from guest bookings to, you know, to segment creation. And you know, I have a cipher. I have a whole bunch of different things that I do over there at Sirius XM. So I was able to take some of those attributes that I learned and apply it to my new network, which was Live 89, which is, you know, a cross between the TuneIn app and Sirius XM. It's like we operate as one station with different shows, obviously, and then we also relay messages. So previously, when you were on True 89 FM, we would relay that show and you would air live. I have like 7, 8 shows that I do like that. I got one in Atlanta, I got one in Massachusetts, there's one in Oakland. And then obviously we have original content such as this as well. My show, The Inphamus Hour. And it's just about bringing a more direct experience to the consumer. And because I chose not to go on the dial, it's not that I can't go on the dial, because I have access to being on a dial, which is, you know, FM in the car. But I like the uncensored factor of it, right? I like the fact that, you know, I can play album cuts that they don't have clean versions for, and the audience can appreciate it, you know, in a way as if they're hearing the album, you know what I mean? So, yeah, we've been able to build this amazing network, and we're going to just keep pushing it. And I look forward to further building it in 2021.
So, you know, like we're heading into like a real different world in 2021, right? And I find like digital media during this whole COVID is totally picked up, right? To the point where now everybody's Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Bluetooth is like the #1 factor right now. So the fact that you got Live 89 FM and you got everybody with Android Auto in their cars, and it's like I said, we're way ahead of the time right now, way ahead of the time. And just everybody, all the DJs, all the staff at Live 89 FM, you know what I mean? It's a great station. You know what I mean? Out here in Canada, we love it, you know? So, you know what I mean?
Appreciate it.
So you still making music videos? Because I know, like, you know, are you still mixing and mastering your own tracks? Because I know you do that.
Yeah. Well, I actually just started shooting videos again. I just honestly didn't have time for videos. And the reality is that once filming became a job for me, and it wasn't about the love and creation for the art form of what video is, I just didn't want to do it anymore. And that's just me being honest. You know what I'm saying?
But why though? Why? How come you didn't want to do it?
I just think that it just became a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to really like film. I used to like creating and organizing and depicting what is being said on the song and bringing it to life visually. Then it just became about money, you know what I mean? And once it just became about money, I was just like, you know what, I don't even want to do this no more. So I kind of just, and then honestly, I just didn't really have time either. Like with, you know, with my career evolving with the Lord Sears Special. So, you know,
another thing too is everybody's doing videos. Everybody's doing videos with their cell phones, and you know what I mean? So I get it. Yes. You just want to try something different now, you know?
Yeah. I just wanted to try something different. And I really wanted to learn how to DJ because I didn't really know how to DJ. So, you know, you gotta, people see me do a lot of things, but you gotta do things one step at a time. Like, it's not like I'm learning to film and DJ and rap and all this shit at one time. Like, I'm doing it literally one step at a time. So I wanted to really devote myself into learning to be a better DJ. So, you know, film was the thing that I had to X out the equation. But now that I'm in a much more comfortable space, and I have the resources, we have begun to film again. I've changed the name of my film company from Get Adam Films to Boom Bap Nation Films. So now we can provide basically a complete experience, because it's all about a complete experience. Now, you can basically just come to us. We can record your record, mix your record, shoot your video, put you on radio, and put you in front of the masses online, all at once. Right? So now you don't have to kind of question where things are coming from. You just go into one source. This is what I want to do, and that's what it is.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We, you know, on your social media, we've been seeing a lot of activity, you know what I'm saying? We've been seeing the
Yeah.
album release party, right? Big ups to the album release party, big ups to everybody that was there. Now, when you were giving that speech, right, about, you know, the way the game is changing and how much work you put into that album, I could see on your face that you were very, how can I say it? You were very, like, you were in your own world. Like, you were so happy at this moment. You know what I mean? How did you feel giving that speech to your close friends and the thousands of people that were obviously looking at this video, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's amazing because I set myself out. I was telling my wife yesterday, you know, I set myself out for a goal, and I was able to not only achieve that goal, but achieve that goal at a high level and almost exactly the way that I wanted. I didn't have to compromise the way I sounded musically, the way people around me sounded musically, or the way I want to interact with music. Although music has changed 10 times over since I started this journey, right? Because I kind of really started this journey like around 2012 was kind of like where I was like, you know, and in 8 years, a lot has happened with music. I mean, it's changed so many times, but for me to be able to put out a lyrical album in 2020 going into 2021 and it actually matters, right? Like it matters, like, you know what I mean? So for me, that was just the utterly gratifying experience. And I stand as a physical testimony to my peers that you can do it too. You don't have to listen to the whispers that surround you. Just be yourself, do what you want to do, how you want to do it. And as long as you're executing and it's coming from a good place, things can happen for you.
Now, how was it growing up in the Bronx? I know you're from the Bronx. You know, how was it growing up? And when did you fall in
Yeah.
love with hip hop? Like, when did you fall in love with this art form that we call hip hop?
Yeah. The first song that made me want to be a musician or made me just want to engage in hip hop is a song by Joe Public. It's called Live and Learn, right? And I said this on Woo Kid. I said this on Woo Kid's show. He looked at me like I was crazy when I told him this. This is not a record that people would say. You're not going to hear anyone else say this, right? It's a cross between it's a New Jack Swing song, right? I don't know if you're familiar with New Jack Swing. New Jack Swing is like the Teddy Riley, New Edition type of sound, whatever.
Right.
It's a New Jack Swing. But when I saw these guys, they were basically on the side of the Henry Hudson Highway, which is like one of the major highways here in New York, and they were playing guitars and they were just, you know, singing and rapping. I was like, no, this is what I want to do. You know what I mean? I fell in love with the art of being a lyricist by listening to Tupac. And I used to actually write Tupac rhymes down. So I used to write them down so I could see how to formulate bars and then how to properly say them, almost like an essay. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, you know, growing up in the Bronx, I mean, you know, a lot of great artists came from the Bronx, but I didn't come from a place where I was around these great artists. Like nobody really from my hood popped off. So we kind of made our own way. Like I made my own way. It was like I grew up with Pun and fucking, you know, KRS-One and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Nah, I made my own way from the bottom. And I didn't use the fact that I didn't know anyone. I didn't use the fact that I didn't have a connection or finances as an excuse to get me to where I need to go. Because that becomes the problem, especially when we're from low income areas, single parent homes. We tend to use this as a crutch. Oh, I live in the project, so that's why I'm not here. Or I'm this. Nah, you can do whatever you want in the world, right? It's just about you actually going and taking the resources that are available to you and making it happen. But yeah, Joe Public Live and Learn was the first record that made me want to be into this industry.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, we got this one track. We got 90s Vibration. We got two, actually. We got 90s Vibration. We got Forever Infamous, right?
Yeah.
Now, you know, let's talk about 90s Vibration. Let's get back to that. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you got a nice hook on it. Okay. What made you want to start delivering hooks like that? Because I think, you know, if you should come out with another album where it's just like R&B hooks or something. You know what I mean? You ever think about doing that? Because this is radio friendly, very, very radio friendly. You can actually put this on your top, you know what I mean, top 20s Billboard countdown. You know what I mean? If it gets to that far, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, the goal of this any day now was I wanted to create a lo-fi album. And I've been talking about this lo-fi for years, right?
Explain to the people right now what is lo-fi and hi-fi and and all that?
Yeah. So lo-fi is essentially like let's say if you listen to a hip hop instrumental and they put it at the highest quality, you actually bring the quality down a little bit. And it sounds like a little muffled. It sounds very vinyl-ish. It sounds like that. You know what I'm saying? And then you create over it. But let me tell you, lo-fi is getting billions and billions and billions of streams. It's something that they basically cater towards like college kids that study. They just kind of put lo-fi instrumentals on and just listen to the thing. There have been a few lo-fi records on this particular album. I do have one full lo-fi song, which is called You. It's track 8. That is a complete lo-fi song. The rest of the songs are kind of like a combination of lo-fi and boom bap. I kind of just merged it together, really because I wanted to keep the integrity of my sound, but I also just couldn't really find the lo-fi instrumentals. Like, they're just hard to find, like, and to create. But back to your original question, 90s Vibration is ultimately the first single for this album, although there will be 2 videos before that one. I'm actually going to start shooting the 90s Vibrations video next week. To just kind of give you a summary, lo-fi is basically kind of like chill music. It's like music that you use to like study, music that you use to relax when you try to want to go to sleep, but it's like a hip hop vibe mixed with like jazz and that type of thing. And the quality of the instrumentation is not the highest quality, right? So where if you would export something at like the highest quality, you would bring it down a little bit and it creates this quote unquote lo-fi sound. My goal was to create an entire lo-fi album, right? But I really wasn't able to achieve it because it's just really hard to find the instrumentation while also maintaining the integrity of my sound, right? So I essentially just merged the two and I created a new sound called lo-fi boom bap, which is what you'll hear on this album. This album is boom bap mixed with lo-fi and it's merged into a new sound. But the 90s Vibration is definitely in the lo-fi category. And I have another record called You, which that is a full lo-fi record. Okay. But back to the original question, the 90s Vibration, again, I wanted to create a commercial record without losing the integrity of lyrics. And also to prove that you can actually do it. So this song is very specifically targeted to an audience of 30 and older. I have a lot of 90s references, especially in the New York City area, from Branson to Hydro to
I like that one. I like
Cool
that.
G's,
yeah,
Cool G's, stuff like that. So we're actually going to be shooting the 90s Vibration video soon. And as you previously said, I'm extremely confident that this is the one that's gonna really like get people clicking. Although I am releasing 2 records before this one. You're not ready for it yet. Once the holidays come, that's when the 90s Vibration vibe is gonna hit, and then we'll set hip hop a storm.
You know what? I really believe, right? Like the fall, winter time is when that hard boom bap, you know what I mean, came out. Remember back in the 90s and early 2000s? Yeah. You know what I mean? Summertime was all about partying and jumping up and down and whatnot, right? So it's a perfect time for this to come out. And I find like from September to now, there's been a whole bunch of dope albums. You know what I mean? You have Nas, you have Benny the Butcher, Conway. You got yourself, Conway. You know what I mean? The list goes on. There's been a whole bunch of them. Even Method Man, I heard, dropped a little something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my brother. Let's hear this track right now, 90s Vibrations by your man, Inphamus Amadeuz. Anything you want to say last about this track? We're just about to peep it right now.
Listen, 90s Vibration. I guarantee you, we out of here with this one. Produced by DJ Payne 1. Let's do it.
All right, let's go in that mix. Bruh. And we're back. You see what I'm saying about that hook, y'all? You know what I mean? Hit my Instagram, Magic with a J, Magic Mike 7725. Drop me a DM. You got to drop me a DM on that. I got to tell you, man, Live 89 FM is live, my G. It is live. You know, in my email, I'll be getting tracks, okay? You know me, I keep saying, drop, your tracks to me. Here's my email, Magic with a J, Magic 77725@gmail.com. And, I'll be getting tracks, and I asked them. I'm like, what'd you hear about my show? Oh, I heard you on Live 89, or I heard you on Instagram, or, you know what I mean? It seems to be around that circuit. So it seems like they're hearing about it as I'm saying it. So yeah, man, it's a dope track right there, my G. Dope track,
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. I mean, again, I feel like I fully captured what I wanted to capture in this record. There's this album is a little different, Mike, where a lot of my previous material, the bars have been straightforward, right? It's been very aggressive, straightforward. This one, I incorporated a lot of double entendres. I almost went like Jay-Z-ish with the punchlines. So a lot of the lines, you got to like listen back and like, oh, he said some, you know, and then just type of thing. I just wanted to add a little more wittiness. I wanted to show growth as an adult as well. And that's what the 90s Vibration record is about. Absolutely.
Don't forget the Timmies. Don't forget the Blunts, right? The Philly Blunts. And don't forget the
Bluntville.
Old English. Don't forget the Old English, man. You got to have that, right? So,
I did say that, yeah.
You did say that, yeah? What was like the most, you know, memorable time that you can remember about the 90s, man? We all have stories, man, because we're all young in them days, right? We're just trying to find out, you know, our life experiences back then. You know what I mean? Like, I can tell you one thing.
Yeah.
The weed was much cleaner, right? You know what I'm saying? The music was much harder. Music was much harder. You know what I mean? People appreciated the music. People appreciated the company that you kept. You know what I'm saying? And the early 90s, people are actually dancing in the clubs, like really dancing. You know what I mean? Like different dance routines, the high top fades, the polka dots. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what's your memorable time about that, about the 90s? And what was the hottest track? And what was the hottest year between 1990 to 1999? Mine was 95. 95 was the hottest year. That's when hip-hop, the sound of hip-hop in 1995, it changed. Everything was materialistic. The internet was starting to come out. www. This, you know what I mean? It was a different look. You know what I mean? So what was your most memorable time?
Year-wise, it's hard to put in on it. Because in all fairness, you know, I went to high school in 97, so I was 14 in 97. So I would have to say, for me, I would have to just say 97.
Okay.
That was the year of the War Report.
Yep.
Which is my favorite album. Like it's not the best album. Yeah. So don't quote me on it. It is my favorite album. It is the most organic album. You know, people coming together.
If you ever talk to Nori again, and I know he probably gets this, I was like, I like his solo album was dope, but just the way, I think in 98, hip hop changed. I don't know if it was because digital software got bigger, but everything got clean. You know what I mean?
The Neptunes came, and you got to remember, people. Yeah. You got to remember in '98, people wanted to party again.
That's right. That's right.
You got to remember. You got to remember before '98, rappers didn't want to party. Rappers got aggressive, and then Diddy came and basically shiny suit the whole shit out. And then we had a rebellious revolution against shiny suits.
That's right.
And then Jay-Z came out, and Busta, they made people want to party again, and the sound started changing. The Neptunes came, and it just it was the evolution of music.
That's right.
And then we started getting introduced to the Southern artists around 2000.
That's right. But was it?
I had that. Huh?
Sorry, isn't that what hip hop is, man? It was created to party. It was created to battle. It was created to let go, feel good. You know what I mean? So I don't, hold Puff anything against them for trying to change the game up like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like, what were you doing in '98, man? Like, what were you doing? Hopping the trains and?
I was wilding.
Yeah.
I was wilding. I was bugged the fuck out, man. I was just kind of lost as a teen. 98, I caught with a loaded firearm in high school. And shout out to the good folks at the NYPD. They spared my life because I could have did a lot of time for that, and they basically spared me. But I was kind of a lost case in 98, 99. Those years were rough for me. You know, my father died in 99. My father committed suicide. I talk about this on the album. So this was the late 90s. The late 90s were rough for me, but I wouldn't take that time away from me ever. I would, if I had to redo it, I would do it the same exact way, because that is the building blocks that makes me strong today, right? Without going through those building blocks, I would have never, been able to. But one of the things that I want to say, definitely back to the weed, I always have this conversation with niggas, because it's like, niggas got all this exotic weed, but they all taste the same. They all smell. Hydro, smelled and tastes like hydro. Haze, piff, smell and taste like piff. Fucking the weed now is like fucking, I got Magic Mike Jekyll and I got Party G this, and it looks and smells the same. Like there's no distinctiveness of it, meaning that like you tell me you got like orange fucking sour powers, but your shit tastes and smell like the last weed you gave me. Whereas in the 90s, weed had very distinct tastes and smells. Chocolate smelled and tastes like chocolate. Fucking haze smelled and tastes like haze. If I walk in a room right now and I light some piff up, you know it's piff. You're not even asking me what kind of weed it is. You know what it is. If Magic might pull up with some dro from the 90s and light that motherfucker up, you know what it is. You don't even have to ask them. Nowadays, you got to ask questions because there's so many hybrids. Everything is just kind of just, but there's no distinctiveness of it. You know what I'm saying?
And you gotta look at the weed that you smoke these days because you don't know what you're smoking. You're absolutely right. Back in the day, up here in Ottawa, right? You know, we know the sour diesel was popular in New York. You know, it was popular in Ottawa. We had a lot of Jamaican weed, Jamaican sass, a lot of Mexican red hair, Thai stick. Then you had some locals growing their outdoor weed. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
and it was very distinct. You're absolutely right. So why is it now? Okay, why is it now the weed looks the same and tastes the same? Like, to me, they're legalizing it. It's just tobacco. To me, it's just flavored tobacco.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I think that they're concentrating too much on the amount of THC in the weed as opposed to the different distinctiveness of it. And there's little things that you can do like putting like food coloring or like food flavoring in your weed. Like, it's in our food. You could do it. Like, you know what I mean? They just don't do it. It's just more about just the level of THC. Plus now, you know, edibles and wax and dabs and those different type of extractions are more relevant now. But you know what? I'm about to go actually Saturday uptown. I'm gonna get me some 90s piff because they still got the 90s piff.
Oh, word.
I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna pull up to somebody's party and light that motherfucker up and see what niggas are talking about.
The kids now, the kids get pre-rolls now. They can't even roll. You know what I mean? I was with this one dude, right? He's younger than me, right? He's really young. And, you know what I mean? I'm like, just roll a blunt. He's like, I don't know how to roll a blunt. I go, yo, my G, you've been smoking weed for like 5 years now. You don't know how to roll a blunt? No, it's just pre-rolls. And, you know what I mean? I'm like, wow, man, y'all can't roll blunts, man.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah, they got the little machines and shit, the raw rolling machine and shit.
Yeah, ain't not like taking a razor or a knife, cutting open out here we had Century Sam's, right? We didn't have the Philly blunts till later on. You all had the Philly blunts, right? But it's not like taking a razor or your knife or your nail and just crack open that cigar and pour that tobacco, or keep a little bit in for flavor. Like maybe take 1 or 2 little leaves. You put your weed in, put the little thing in. You know what I mean? Wet it. Use the lighter to dry it out. Like there's nothing like that. Now you got these
shit.
Yeah, man. Now you got these vaporizers. They taste like metal. It's a whole other ball game, right? So forever infamous. You know what I mean? We're about to hear this track, but tell us, you know, anything you want to say to the world right now as far as the music, or just, you know, let's talk about New York City right now. You live in New York. Now, is it true, I'm hearing through the grapevine, that a lot of people are moving out of New York, right? It's all kinds of like, you know, testing going on down there, and I'm just not hearing good things. I got family down there. So how was the situation in New York? And you talked about equal lives and the racism, you know what I mean? So what's your opinion on all that? What's going on right now?
Yeah. I think, I mean, there's definitely they're not pulling niggas out of their cribs to give you a vaccine. So that's incorrect, and it's not knowledgeable in a sense where it's like we already have mandatory vaccines in place already. You got to get a tuberculosis vaccine. You got to get this TB vaccine. You got to get that vaccine. So, you know, COVID-19 is a modern version of this. When you have over 200 people that died in our country, 200,000 people died in our country, they're going to put these things in place to essentially protect you, right? They're trying to stop it. As far as like the systematic racism and things like that, I think in New York, it's a little different because we all kind of identify as one. I don't think people really understand it, like Puerto Ricans and blacks. And, you know, we all, like Puerto Ricans and blacks literally identify as one in New York. Like we literally identify as one race, right? And then, you know, it is a melting pot. Now, for other places in the world, obviously, you know, it's a little different. But what I will say though is New York has absolutely lost its identity when it comes to music because, you know, FM radio here has shoved the Southern cadence of creation down the throats of the young kids. And now they create music like if they're not from here, which is why the guys that are doing quote unquote boom bap are from upstate. Right? So the guys upstate still have the authenticity, the Rochester, the Buffalo. Those guys are still kind of holding it down when it comes to the music. And in particular with this Forever Infamous record, I address a lot of shit on there to niggas saying I sound like Kiss, to the way labels sign people. But more importantly, when you hear this record, you don't have to question where I'm from. You know where I'm from as soon as that drum hit. You don't have to question that. You know where it's from. And that was just the kind of the point of the record, like just to give them a real New York authentic vibe and sound.
Okay. All right. So, you know, give off your social media, you know what I mean? And you know, is there anything interesting that's going to happen with Live 89 FM? Like what's going to happen with Live 89 FM for 2021? Don't give too much away because we got a lot of people, you know, my brother, I got a lot of radio DJs that listen to me, right? So you don't want to give too much away.
Well, follow me on social media platforms at the Inphamus Amadeuz. Listen to me on Sirius XM, Shade 45. The Lord Says Special every single Thursday, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. You catch me on Live 89 FM Sundays at 8 o'clock. And then you catch me on multiple FM stations. As far as Live 89 will expand more. So there will be an expansion as far as shows that we're bringing in and content and just the way that we're organized. And just be on the lookout for us. Live 89 FM, big vibes.
I wanted to do this Zoom interview a little differently where it's like a split screen so they could see both of our reactions, you know what I mean, as we're both talking, you know?
Yeah, no doubt.
So what's your plans, man? What's your plans for, what's your personal plans, you know what I mean, for this whole coming into this third phase now, you know what I mean? Like, are you just going to be indoors more often? You're going to try and like, you know, get out there a little more, vacation even?
Yeah.
I know you're in Miami not too long ago.
Yeah. I mean, I've kind of, you know, when COVID hit, I kind of got ahead of the curve and just flipped my whole business online. Whereas, you know, with my business, I was relying a lot on physical interactions from showcases to these type of things. I flipped it online, right? So I've kind of taken care of that. And I realized that, you know, with social media, we don't even have to be outside, honestly. You can kind of do the same thing. You know what I mean? Look, you're in Canada. I'm in Pennsylvania right now, right? So, you know, we can do these type of things and interact and that type of thing. So, you know, I think maybe this was the best. And honestly, you know, in a weird way, you know, COVID, for me personally, was a blessing and a curse because
you know?
COVID slowed me down. Like, because I was moving way too fast with, you know, I was getting booked a lot. I was drinking every fucking day. I'm smoking cigarettes every day. I got to quit cigarettes during COVID. So that's one thing. You know, taking less alcohol consumption, eating better, sleeping better.
Not going to the club, you know, as much, you know, not going to these events.
Yeah, I was booked every day.
Because every time you have an event, like as much as I was doing events, you got to make sure everybody's safety.
COVID, you know, although I was making a lot of money and I was doing what I wanted to do, it was taking a physical toll on my body pre-COVID, being booked every night. Then you're in drinking environments every night. Then you're not sleeping. Then I'm booked in Atlanta, Nebraska. I'm booked here, there. I was spending weeks away from home, you know, and it was affecting my personal health. It was affecting my marriage. You know what I'm saying? It was just affecting my kids. Like, you know what I mean? So in a way, COVID, it sat me down, right? It just sat me down. It's like, all right, if you know what, you got to sit down. And like I said, I quit smoking cigarettes, which was great. You know what I mean?
Congratulations.
Due to COVID, I quit cigarettes 9 months now. Was since the pandemic. No cigarettes. And, you know, I slowed down the drinking. I've been sleeping better. And I've been able to focus a little more. And just to end it off like this, I would have not probably been able to create this album the way I created it had I been moving the way I was moving pre-pandemic. You know what I'm saying? Because pre-pandemic, I didn't have time to create music or to come up with these concepts or, you know, I was just tired and sluggish all the time because I was chasing the money, you know. So this is just great, like, you know what I'm saying, in that sense. And the readjustment and the reformulation of my business. And we just look forward to doing things in 2021.
All right. You know what I mean? Here's Inphamus Amadeuz with Forever Infamous. Thank you once again, my G. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anytime you want to come on, you let me know. And when the borders open up, you got to come to Canada. You got Graph-Wise out here. Big ups to Graph-Wise. You got me. Got a whole bunch of people. You know what I'm saying? I want to meet you up here, so you got to come up here, you know?
Yeah, I'll definitely make it my business to get up there once this whole thing is done.
All right, my G. All right. Here's Inphamus Amadeuz with Forever Infamous right here on the Majic Show. Brah! All right. Thank you, Inphamus Amadeuz. For our YouTube viewers right now, okay, what advice can you give the up-and-coming artists?
Don't take what you feel to be as the trend as the actual trend. Don't let that fly over your head. When you sit back and you name the biggest rappers in hip hop, they all can still all do one thing. They can actually rap. You can name anyone who you consider the greats of hip hop. I'm not talking about like who's hot in the streets. I'm talking about the Drakes of the world, the Nicki Minaj's of the world, the Lil Waynes of the world, the Kendrick Lamar's of the world, the Tory Lanez of the world, the J. Cole's of the world. They all still have one thing in common. They are rappers that can actually rap. So don't feel like you have to sacrifice your bars or your content or a set of a bit of your personality because you want to tend to something that you feel is hot when it really isn't. So, you know, learn the business and don't be afraid to do otherwise.
All right. All right, my brother. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for taking the time out. And we're definitely we're gonna have more of these little, you know, Zoom meetings, you know, not on air, but off air, you know what I'm saying?
No doubt. No doubt.
All right, my G. Have a great day, and anything you need, you let me know on my end, all right?
No doubt. One.
All right, one.